SmackDown review for the November 15th episode of SmackDown. I'm Will, that's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. As always, let's cheers. Talk about some wrestling, huh?
Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect for the SmackDown. We're obviously, in terms of the Raw side, in between two pre-taped episodes, right? So You're like, you get the two pre-taped episodes. What do they kind of do on SmackDown? Because there's been some run over, you know? I thought this episode was top tier. I thought it was really good.
From top to bottom. And speaking of the top, let's get to it. Cody Rhodes starts the show. He mad. He not wearing his suit. He wearing his t-shirt.
Before we go into it,
I
like every once in a while when we get this and you get to see the jacked up Cody, I'm like, yeah, you should do that more often, Cody.
If he doesn't wear his suit, that means he's mad.
Yeah.
He's mad. So he comes out, he's mad. He goes, Kevin Owens, you've crossed the line. Please come out here right now. Very politely. And then he looks at the screen and nothing happens. Then he goes, Kevin Owens, get your ass out here now. Top of his lungs. And Kevin Owens looks a little bit skinnier and more facial, a little bit less facial hair because it's Nick Aldis.
Yeah,
taller. Yeah.
In a suit.
He
took Cody's suit, you know?
I mean, Nick Aldis, big man though. Jesus. But Nick Aldis comes out and he goes, I know you're angry. Everybody is angry. Randy Orton is now hurt again after just having back surgery not too long ago. He goes, Kevin Owens used a pile driver. That is outlawed for our safety. We cannot have that again. We cannot let KO get away with that until we have this figured out internally. I cannot have him here. So he's giving him the managerial response.
Yeah, he's taking the Adam Pearce route.
Yeah, he's taking the Adam Pearce route. And Cody Rhodes is like, you are making a martyr of him for doing this. That's exactly what he wants. It's like he wants you talking about it. This brings money into his pocket. People buy his merch, basically, is what he's saying. He goes, let me handle this. Kevin Owens is a blank. Kevin Owens is a blank. And Kevin Owens is an ass. And then he doesn't let him finish it because he already said ass. Yeah. Just let him say the whole part, bro.
No. Cody can't do that.
Babyface can't cuss. But Nick Aldis is like, before you finish that, you think this is about money? He's like, this is not about money. This is about the entire roster. I need to set an example. I need to have this be something that can be handled internally. And Cody says, internally, be real. He goes, I know you're a GM, but underneath that GM suit, you're a wrestler. You are a wrestler. He goes, imagine if you were me. This is because of me. All this is happening because of me. What do you expect me to do? Go to his house, beat his ass in his front yard? That's what he says. I know that's not it, but Nick, the ball is in your court, and I will not wait long. And he walks away. So Cody Rhodes is waiting for Nick Aldis to give him the green light on Kevin Owens. I thought this was a good emotional promo from Cody Rhodes. He's angry. Pop.
Yeah, he was angry, and the crowd loved the response, or I guess the crowd loved the, what, should I go to his house?
Yeah.
The crowd was like, yeah.
Yeah, we like that.
Yeah, go to his house. So I thought that was cool.
I know his address.
I like the Nick Aldis side of things. The Cody stuff, we've kind of seen that before a little bit, the fired up Cody. Nothing too crazy here. Pretty textbook angry Cody here. But I like the Nick Aldis side of things being like, okay, let me be the GM. Let me kind of take control of this. We've seen that side from Adam Pearce a lot. Nick Aldis is kind of like here and there. Like if you had to like lay out the last, year of GMs, I would say Pearce has done a better job. I mean, Pearce has more chaos, so he has more time to kind of show that GM side. So it's nice to see Nick Aldis kind of establishing that role here, kind of for the first time that I can remember at least. So it's nice other than coming out and saying, oh, we're going to set up a match. You know, I like this side of things where you can kind of progress the storyline when obviously Kevin's not on TV. So you've got to have some sort of avenue. I thought this was good.
Yeah. I don't know if there's reason, like, I don't know if there's actual reasoning why Kevin Owens is not on TV very much anymore. They've kind of played that. I don't know why. I don't know if he's just vacationing or if there's something going on, but it's always hard to build feuds without half the guy on the screen. And that's been Kevin Owens the past 2 months with the Randy Orton feud and now this. But I feel like they're doing a really good job of it. And like adding the pile driver safety thing in there, it feels like more of like a business. Like we have rules. This guy broke the rule. I don't care if it's a wrestling show. Like there's still boundaries. He crossed one. We're keeping him at home. We need to handle this internally. And then you have like the actual, like the wrestling part of it, the wrestler, the dramatic part who's like, well, I don't care about the rules. I need to fix this. Let me at him. Let me at him. It just feels like a classic little story there. I like it.
Yeah, and it was nice that, or at least I thought when Cody's like, you're the GM, but deep down, like, you're still a wrestler. And then it pans to Aldis. And he's got this, like, look in his eyes. And I'm like, yes, he is still a wrestler. Like, you can see it. You're like, we're getting that eventually.
Yeah.
I don't know when. Maybe we get a Rumble spot, him and Pierce. Maybe that's,
That would be awesome.
Maybe
They start arguing in the back, and they're just like, well, there's 2 spots open.
Yeah, 1 and 2 in the Rumble.
Oh, my God. I'd be so down. We would pan on the back, though. Jimmy and Jay and Sammy are all backstage. They're still worried about their 5th member. Jay's like, what the hell are we going to do? We still don't have one. We got no hunches. And Sami Zayn's like, you know what? I think I know a 5th member. He walks away, and I'll just go into it because it's like 2 segments later, and there's no audio to it or anything. But you see him talking to LA Knight, and I was like, well, that didn't make any damn sense.
No, he said, I got a member. I said, Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, me too. I was like,
then I saw LA Knight and I said, that's not Cody Rhodes.
That's not Cody Rhodes. He ain't going to be a part of that. We would move on, though, and there's going to be more of that later. So that's why we're not going to get into it. But we get the first round of our SmackDown Women's title, U.S. title tourney. Just FYI, we had a video coming out on Monday, and it's still going to come out. We didn't know that this was happening because they don't freaking tell anybody until an hour before SmackDown that they already have a freaking tournament up.
And there's it's a list, it's a 5 and honorable mentions of who we think should win it. The graphic came out, and I said,
It's still a fun video, though.
Yeah, like he said, it's still going to come out. It's still good stuff, but
it's
just forewarning, I guess.
It's looking like they're taking the Queen and King of the Ring tournament style tournament here where it's all triple threat matches. And we had a good one to put on the first one. It was Bayley taking on Candice LeRae and B-Fab, the manager / wrestler from the Street Profits. Mm-hmm. She had a lot of screen time tonight. It's good for her.
Yeah.
But this was good stuff. So Candice would start by taking out Bayley right away, and her and B-Fab would kind of go at it for a couple minutes here. Bayley would get out and kind of let the people that don't get as much screen time get some screen time, and they took advantage of it. B-Fab was slamming her around. Yeah. It was great.
B-Fab looked really good.
No, she looks fantastic.
She was the, I guess, the biggest takeaway for me in terms of like in-ring actual stuff. I was like, okay, it was nice to see. I was impressed.
Yeah.
I got to see a lot of her that I don't see. Kind of like the shining star out of this match here.
Yeah, she was. And she was beating up Candice LeRae, and it actually ends with a spot where Bayley hops up on the apron, and B-Fab is able to clothesline Candice in the ring and Bayley, who's on the apron at once, which is pretty cool. And then they all would roll into the ring, and they'd all kind of get their moves off. Bayley, I think, would hit like an elbow drop from the top rope onto the back of B-Fab, but they'd all end up on their knees doing like a test of wills, and then they'd get up, and they'd all go for a clothesline on each other and all hit each other. I was like, that's fun. I like that. It's good wrestling. But Candice would hit this cool little move where she would run up off B-Fab's back, hit a code breaker to Bayley while falling down onto B-Fab.
Yeah, doing like a senton or whatever,
or
whatever it is, I think. But that was, when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's creative.
That's a cool move. She tries to pin both of them, doesn't get either of them. But they end up in the on the top turnbuckle. Candice LeRae's on the top turnbuckle. Bayley's hopping up there to try to superplex her. B-Fab's like, no, this is a cool move for a Tower of Doom spot. So she runs over there and she starts to powerbomb Bayley, who's also suplexing Candice LeRae. But Candice LeRae is able to maneuver her body to kind of like cross body Bayley as she's getting power slammed from the top. A really cool spot where like the top person who normally takes like the most blunt of the Tower of Doom spots is able to turn it into a pin. So she like lands on Bayley and turns it into a pin. 1-2, B-Fab breaks it up. But I was like, damn, that is a creative ass spot. And that shows you what that like little Candice LeRae can do. We would have B-Fab gets another like run in or good run here. She gets some inverted neck breakers on both Bayley and Candice LeRae. Bayley would hit a Bayley to belly when all this stuff would happen. Candice LeRae would run in, throw Bayley out of the ring, try to steal the pin, but B-Fab would obviously kick out. And then B-Fab would come, or then they would all come back in the ring. They'd all get up. Candice LeRae gets thrown out of the ring. B-Fab gets a slam on Bayley. It's like a rock bottom-esque B-Fab slam. That's what they called it. I don't know, but B-Fab or Candice LeRae would hop up on the apron. B-Fab would go to kick Candice LeRae off the apron. Bayley would do a roll-up pin to B-Fab. 1, 2, 3. Bayley gets the win here off a roll-up pin. This match was fantastic. We'll go into what I think about the winner, but this match was phenomenal. I got to hop it.
Yeah, I'm going to pop the match itself.
Yeah.
I thought the match was really good. I thought it was a good way to start the show off.
Yeah.
We always talk about starting out hot and how can you kind of get that momentum? How can you really get that crowd going? This triple threat did that.
Yeah.
Sometimes with triple threats, it's kind of hit or miss, but this was a hit. I thought this was really, really good. I made the joke in the Discord. BFAB. I mean, she came out and she had like I think it might have been the 4K camera. She had like the special camera and they were giving her special entrance and she was getting all this time and all that. I said, what the hell? What the hell is this? Why the hell is BFAB getting all this shine? And then BFAB went out there in the match and she shined through the match. And I said, oh, okay. That's why. I didn't know. I wasn't familiar with your game. You know what I mean? Like, she was fantastic though.
Yeah, she needs to get more in-ring action and that's something to where maybe like a Naomi pairing or something if you want to start turning Naomi away from the Jade and Bianca stuff, maybe they can get a tag team going there and then you face Jade and Bianca. That would be fun. But BFAB's absolutely fantastic. Bayley winning here is a little bit suspicious to me. I'm never against it. Bayley's great. She's earned it. You know, whenever she wins, you kind of nod your head and go, yeah, sure, it's Bayley. But I was kind of really looking forward to the idea of a long Candice LeRae tournament run here with the potential of like a Nia Jax partnership and stuff behind that sort of thing.
Yeah, obviously, like Will said, we have a video coming out on Monday, so we won't get too in-depth to that, or at least I won't. But I couldn't agree more here. I guess I was a little disappointed in terms of, I guess I'll talk about the tournament as a whole. I'm kind of, when I saw that it was all triple threats again, I was kind of like, I just kind of wanted more of like a bigger kind of traditional tournament, like just singles matches, but just maybe more of them.
Yeah.
But I understand why they do the triple threats. I mean, you get more people on screen at one time and you don't have to kind of plan out as far and stuff like that. I get that. I agree. I thought Candice LeRae should have won. Now, Bayley's title runs, if she does get that belt, her title runs have never really been fantastic. They've never really been great.
No.
Later in the night, there's a Naomi, Jade and Bianca, Bayley, right before the main event. There's like a whole little backstage thing.
Yeah.
Right then and there, that kind of told me all I needed to see in terms of maybe the rest of the tournament. Yeah. Because that seems what they're prioritizing. They're prioritizing that over the potential Candice LeRae, Tiffany thing, which is fine. But to me, I would have thought the Candice LeRae, Nia, Tiffany, that sort of thing really could have benefited more than what looks like they're planning to do, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. We'll get into that a little bit later more. But BFAB would actually have like another backstage segment here right after the match. Chelsea Green and Piper Niven would walk up to her, and Chelsea Green would call her B-flop, obviously, because she just lost, and she's making fun of her. And Chelsea says, don't worry, when I win that U.S. title, I'll let you hold it. And BFAB's like, you're both in the tournament, both of you, Chelsea and Piper. You know, eventually that's going to come to a head. You guys got bigger things to worry about than little old me. Losing's just part of the game. I lost today. And then before Chelsea and them could start talking more trash, Mishin walks up with a kendo stick. Mm-hmm. And I was like, uh-oh, things don't look good for Mishin in this tournament either, huh? Or Chelsea. They're setting up some weird dynamics there between
Chelsea
all
was like, oh, we've got to go prepare.
Yeah, and they walked away.
Left, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We're back to just the comedy route for Chelsea Green.
Yeah.
I understand she's like our truth. I get it. She can do the comedy stuff as well, but damn it.
Give it to her.
Yeah.
Give it to her. LA Knight would come out though. Yeah. And he's ready to go. He says, let me talk to you.
This was gold.
This is good stuff.
I watched this, I don't know how many times. this little promo battle. I watched it so much.
He goes, everybody wants his title. He goes, I've won it at Crown Jewel. And that caught Sami Zayn's eyes because Sami Zayn wants me to join this little Bloodline Civil War. And he goes, no, that ain't my battle. That ain't my battle. He goes, honestly, if the whole Bloodline tore each other up and beat the hell out of each other, that'd be just okay with me. Yeah. He goes, but now for the U.S. title, he goes, this ain't the Logan Paul show. We're going to defend it more than twice a year. He goes, so that means it's time for the U.S. Open Challenge. So who's coming out to face me and join the Hit It and Quit It Club? And when that happens, Legado del Fantasma comes out. Mm-hmm. All of them. Yep. And Michael Cole is like, well, which one's going to fight?
Yeah.
It's a lot of you.
Yeah. Immediately you think Escobar. because
See.
he's the leader, but obviously.
They surround him in the ring. They come up, and Santos grabs the mic, and he goes, why don't you say anything cool? Why don't you say anything interesting? You should say stuff like Escobar, see. I was like, that, yeah.
I liked that part. And then right here is where he lost me, because he started talking about Milwaukeeans, you need to da-da-da-da, and I was like, you're losing me now.
They were in Milwaukee, and you could tell that him making fun of Milwaukeeans, what he called them. He said they sound like some place from outer space when he says that. That's what he says. But it felt like he was he started making fun of Milwaukee early, and so he had to bounce back again to it halfway through his promo, because that's where it was. It was weird, but he was making fun of Milwaukeeans for some reason. But he wanted a shot at the U.S. title basically, and he goes, "Look, I respect your ambition, but we already done that. I already beat you. But this little dude in the corner here, he's giving me the eye, and he's pointing to Berto."
Which he is. The camera's there, and the man is staring a hole through him.
He goes, "This guy over here, though, he can get it. I'm going to beat you in front of your daddy." And speaking of daddy, ain't nobody in this ring can call me daddy except for your girl. Yeah. I was like, that's some old school wrestling.
That's some old school stuff. And then he just goes, "Well, she's calling me daddy, and he's calling me uncle." And I was like, oh, this is so good.
Yeah.
Oh,
so he does that. And they obviously don't like him making those jokes. So they attack him.
Mm-hmm.
They beat him up. And what that leads to is a match between Berto and L.A. Knight. Yeah. And we get back in because obviously Legado attacked him. Berto has the jump on him early in the match. Berto would actually go to the top rope, and LA Knight would do that thing where he runs up and jumps up there, and because it's SmackDown, nailed it. But
right out of a commercial.
Yeah, right out of a commercial. Nailed it. Jumped on up there. But Berto is actually able to push him off and then give him a top rope missile dropkick. And I was like, damn, they're giving Berto some stuff here. Mm-hmm. You gotta love it. But LA Knight would clothesline. He would do the thing where he clotheslined Berto so hard out of the ring that LA Knight would go with him. Mm-hmm. I was like, damn, it's a hard clothesline. And Legado del Fantasma is sitting there on the outside of the ring, obviously, just watching this happen. I mean, they want him to win the U.S. title, so they can't get involved right in front of the ref. And LA Knight walks over. He starts doing the when he's hitting Berto's head off the announce table. Every time his head hits, the crowd goes, yeah. I like that. You get him into the ring, DDT him, 1-2, ooh.
Good DDT.
Yeah. Berto would do a roll-up pin here, and LA Knight would kick him off. And he would kick him off, and Berto would do a springboard from the second rope into a kick.
That was really cool.
I was like, damn.
That was really cool.
And then he'd go for a top rope moonsault, but LA Knight would get his foot up. Berto would move away from a pop-up, or from a in-ring where LA Knight runs the ropes and does his elbow, his yabo, I don't know. But then he would eventually put Berto to the mat and get a top rope elbow drop off that looked clean as can be. We would get there was nothing more here, really. No drama here. LA Knight would kind of get his comeback off, hit the BFT onto Berto, get the win. 1, 2, 3. LA Knight retains, but as he's celebrating, figure out of nowhere with an elbow and then a knee. Shinsuke Nakamura is back, and he is coming for that U.S. title of LA Knights. Fantastic to see him. This is going to be a huge feud. Cannot wait for it. But in terms of the promo beforehand, in terms of the match, in terms of the drama after, I mean, this was a phenomenal mid part of the show, popping it all the way.
Yeah, I'm gonna pop all of this as well.
Yeah.
I mean, if you love LA Knight,
yeah,
especially, like you're going to, you know what I mean? My biggest, I guess, takeaway out. Well, we'll start at the beginning. The promo stuff. Like I said, the promo I thought was fantastic. I watched this back so many times. I know people have kind of compared him to Austin and The Rock at times. This was kind of the first moment, at least I really had the connection of, like, you always hear about The Rock back in the day. Like, first thing that comes to mind is Jericho. You try to build up these stars, and The Rock, like, is so good on the mic that The Rock's just like, you can't hang with me.
Yeah.
I'm going to destroy you on this mic. This was kind of like that first instance for me that I was like, damn, like that really is true. That really is the case here. Match was good. I like Berto. We've seen him for years. I mean, he's been around forever, it seems like at this point.
Yeah.
He can go in the ring, so fantastic stuff. LA didn't have any slip-ups. The only thing I would have thought to myself was, we got Legado on the outside there. there's 3 of them out there at that point. I'm like, why didn't they try to interfere? Why didn't they stop the ref's count or anything like that? Obviously, it makes sense why. Shinsuke, we haven't seen him on WWE for, months. You see, like, he accompanies UFC fighters to the ring, and he's out surfing and all this stuff. He kind of does, like, all these side quests, for lack of, like, a better term. He's just living his best life. Shinsuke, it's about time we get that kind of, like, deserved push again. This is going to be fantastic. Like you said, this is going to be a great feud. Really kind of hoping Shinsuke gets the win at the end of the day in terms of the feud itself. Remains to be seen, but it's just really good to see him back. And like you said, kind of that mysterious, like, hooded, dark outfit. I really liked that.
Yeah, he looked like a samurai.
Mm-hmm.
He's all samurai'd up, and I think I didn't write it down, but they gave him some samurai name. I don't know what they call him, but samurai of something. I just can't. I love that he's back. And it's been long enough to where you can paint his picture however you want it. Honestly, you come back. Obviously, he's going to be a heel against LA Knight's face. I love the face paint. If they have him attack like this kind of stuff, it's going to be phenomenal. Hopefully, that's what they kind of do. I'd be down if, like, the U.S. Open Challenge continues, because it opens up these small little stories for random people to come and get action. But if you do that for the next couple weeks, and then Shinsuke attacks during the match or attacks before it, stuff like that, we can get other guys on screen for a little bit of time, but also continue the Shinsuke LA Knight story. But this is a top tier feud that's going to get that U.S. title back to where it needs to be, kind of on that IC level that we need it. LA Knight's been begging for a big time feud, big time rival, and this could easily be that. Just absolutely looking forward to it. It's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Agree with everything that you said. I do think that it would be really cool if some way, somehow, he kind of dresses in all black and he kind of is like to your point, kind of like a creature of the night. He like moves in the shadows and stuff like that. I think that would be really cool. He needs that big rival. We've been kind of waiting and waiting. Yeah. It's almost kind of like Cody. It's like, you don't really have anybody to feud with. When are we going to get that? He's been defending that belt, so props to him. And this is going to be that next thing that kind of elevates that. If it's done right, don't get me wrong, it's not going to be anywhere near Punk and Drew. But I think at the end of the year, if this is done right, this could be potentially a top 5 feud on TV.
Oh, yeah, easily. We didn't get a long one here. Long one, but a good one. We'd end up outside of a locker room. We don't see whose locker room it is, but it is Sammy, Jay, and Jimmy. And obviously, Jay and Jimmy at this point are about to blow a gasket with the fact that they don't have a 5th member yet. Ain't nobody answering calls. Nobody saying yes. What the hell is happening?
They're stressed.
They're stressed. And Sammy walks over there and he's like, yeah, well, my guy didn't work. And I wish Jay would have been like, well, damn right it didn't work. Why the hell are you asking LA Knight? He ain't gonna dig it. Are you stupid? That's what he should have said.
Yeah, it would have been nice if Jimmy said that.
Yeah,
Jimmy and Sammy obviously are still at odds. What the hell are you asking LA Knight for?
Jimmy looking Sammy in the eye and being like, yeah, he was LA Knight. What are you doing? Like that would have made my night.
Jay would have been like, calm down, Oos. It's fine. Like that would have been subtle.
But then Sammy finally admits, he's like, well, I don't think we're gonna get a 5th guy. And he's like, by the way, where is Roman? He said he was going to be here, and he said he was going to talk about this with us. So where is he? Which I thought was hilarious, because Jay's like, well, he told us to meet us in here, and then it pans to the locker, and on the locker it just says Roman Reigns. I'm like, oh, come on.
I thought it was going to be some random locker, no sign. Like, man, we can't find Roman anywhere. He's not returned. Well, he said to meet him here. Well, where are we meeting him at? And it's like, oh.
It fucking says his name. Can you read, Sammy? God, you're just off your game tonight. Going after LA Knight. You can't read.
There are moments where WWE does so much logic. I looked at the tape. I looked at the footage. I did this. And then you get stuff like this. And it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I agree. But they all walk in there, and Roman's just... Judgment Day has like these cool little locker rooms, and Roman's just got a TV and a couch. I'm like, damn.
He's got like the old school. Yeah. Like just TV, just couch, just myself.
And he's walking in there, and at this point, they're all just behind him. Mm-hmm. They're all just behind him, and before anybody can say anything, the TV's on the entrance ramp.
I did like this.
And Solo's music hits. Dun, 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 dun. And you can see it. So we're watching Solo's entrance through the TV of Roman's locker room.
And it was cool because like you have everybody standing there, and then like you hear the music. So like they hear it in the arena, but then they also hear it through the TV. And I'm like, wow, this is ridiculous, but it's also
there's got to be a delay. Anyway, so when that happens, all they do, Roman stands up and he walks out and they all follow him. So no words spoken there, but OG Bloodline's together and they're moving somewhere. And we get Solo Sikoa with walking to the ring. And they all, Bloodline 2.0 gets in the ring. And of course, Solo grabs the mic and he does his Milwaukee, acknowledge me. And the second he does that, OG Bloodline's music hits. Well, AKA Romans.
Yeah, Romans. Yeah.
No yeet for...
That's what I thought. As soon as Roman hits, I was like, okay. I see Jimmy and him walking. Like, okay, where's the J music? Yeah. And then they all walked out together. I said, okay, one selective front.
They got these new T-shirts that just say OG Bloodline. Yeah. Very labeled.
I mean, they're pretty cool.
They're pretty cool. They got to do one every week, man. People are just wasting their money. They're throwing every week. They throw 30, 40 more bucks at OG shirt, and they got to do one next week.
What's that? The Futurama. Take my money.
Take my money. It's a South Park. Here's a new OG Bloodline shirt, and it's gone. We got a new one. But Roman comes out, and it's a Bloodline versus Bloodline stare down. Of course, after the pyro. But I mean, they're looking at each other. OG Bloodline walks up to the ring. They hop on the apron. It's a will they, won't they thing. Crowd's kind of, ooh.
Yeah. Are we going to get it?
And they attack.
Also, while they're walking, I did want to point out, fans of Tama Tonga here that we are, he is doing his thing in the ring. He is doing it. He is going berserk in the ring. I was like, oh, hell yeah.
But all hell breaks out. It's Roman on Solo, Sammy on Jacob Fatu, Jay and Jimmy are now...
Jimmy got Tonga Loa, and Jay got Tama Tonga.
Yeah, they're Jimmy spills out with Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. Jay does a suicide dive into all of them. He takes them out. Fatu's beating up Sammy. He ends up beating Sammy. He attacks Roman with Solo, and then after he attacks Roman, he gets out of the ring. He starts attacking Jimmy. He starts attacking Jay. Solo would go and grab Sammy, but Roman would come up and spear Solo. And when that happened, Roman and Sammy would kind of acknowledge each other in the ring, like, okay. Sammy took this opportunity to be like, I don't really want to talk to you. He bounces off the ropes, does a flip over the top rope into Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, all of them on the outside. Except for Fatu. Fatu's not in that mess of people that he did that. Now it's Roman and Jacob Fatu in the ring, and everybody, the crowd's like, oh, hell yeah, this is where we want. But while they're staring each other off, so it's Roman and Jacob Fatu in the ring, Bronson Reed out of nowhere attacks Roman Reigns from behind. And I'm like, oh, damn. Oh, damn. We get a corner splash from Bronson Reed, and Jacob Fatu would follow it up with his running butt thing that he does. Butt splash. I don't know what you call it. But
I don't think it's called that.
We're calling it that. OG Bloodline with an attack, and 2.0 would just handle them. Absolutely handle them. And Bronson Reed would do a Death Valley driver to Jay. He clotheslined Sammy. Fatu would hit his prettiest moonsault ever onto Sami Zayn as well. We get a tsunami to Jimmy Uso. Roman was outside the ring, but Solo's like, go get him. Roman gets him up. He starts to try to come back. He does Superman punches to Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. He actually gets one onto Jacob Fatu as well, but out of nowhere, Solo kind of with like a running Samoan spike to Roman.
Yeah, I thought he also got... I think he cleaned house almost. I think he got Bronson Reed.
Did he get Bronson Reed too? All I know is that if he Superman punched Bronson Reed and Fatu, they didn't fall. They just kind of like...
They were in the corner.
Backed into the corner because they're big men. Mm-hmm. But Solo would spike Roman, and then he'd tell Fatu to go do your moonsault. So we get another prettiest moonsault from Fatu right to Roman. And then we get a tsunami to Roman. This man's getting absolutely destroyed. Bloodline 2.0, they pose. When they're walking back to the ring, Jay's in the ring, and all he's telling Roman to do is... Make the call, Roman. Make the call, Oos. A lot to unpack here. I'm gonna pop it right away, but it looks like we found our fifth looks like we found our fifth Bloodline 2.0 member, Mr. Bronson Reed. How do we feel about that?
It's a loaded question. I still think they should have done 4v4.
Yeah.
Admittedly, though, if you're going to put somebody in that spot, I'm okay with it being Bronson Reed. He kind of fits that Bloodline 2.0, that kind of in your face, kind of smash mouth, kind of overpowering type. He really kind of fits that. As we were talking in our Discord, somebody had mentioned that he wanted to be in this type of storyline. He wanted to be in the Bloodline stuff. So it really, to me at least, my biggest takeaway from Bronson Reed being in it was like, while I may not like it right away, I started to look at it from WWE side of things. Like, you're putting Bronson Reed in the biggest storyline that's happened in the last 4 years. It's really kind of, as somebody who's like, push Bronson Reed, push him. Like, what more could you ask for?
Yeah, I'm with you on, no matter what, at the end of the day, I wish this was 4v4. But the second Bronson Reed attacked Roman and it was Fatu and Bronson Reed in the ring looking at a destroyed Roman, I was like, damn, he fits in though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he really fits that Bloodline 2.0 attitude. Him, opposite of Fatu, feels unstoppable at this point. Like, that feels like they're gonna need 10 other guys in order to beat these two.
Yeah.
And that's just a testament to the work that they've done with Bronson Reed over the past few months. He feels like that sort of enemy, that sort of, arch villain, and them destroying Roman eating a tsunami, Roman eating a moonsault, a spike, all of it. Roman's officially kind of broken here. This is going to probably lead to a Seth edition, which I'm looking forward to seeing how they pull that off in any way, shape, or form. That's going to feel anime. But while this should be 4v4, Bronson Reed does feel like if they're going to do anything, got to be him.
Yeah, like you said, the Fatu Bronson Reed pairing, like those two guys, like I feel like they're so formidable in terms of, I mean, like you said, it's probably Seth, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, it's kind of a foregone conclusion. So like Roman and Seth versus Fatu and Bronson Reed, it's like, okay, yeah, you can sign me up. I was a little bit worried there for that middle spot where like Roman is, he goes through Tongaloa, Tamatanga on the outside. He gets in, Superman punch Fatu and Bronson Reed. I said, oh, this is Rhea Ripley. I said, oh no, don't do this, Roman. And then you got Solo coming in for the numbers game, finally catching up. No complaints here. I thought this was just fantastic stuff. You get Jay saying to make the call, obviously throughout the night up until this point, they're like, you got to make the call. You got to make it. Like they'd mentioned it very subtly. And then they have these great moments where the mic is right there and you hear Jay saying that stuff to Roman. I really like that stuff.
On the Jay note, and this might be nothing to look into like I probably am, but in terms of tonight's episode, Jay did kind of feel like a lassie again. He did kind of feel like a psychic again. When they were in the locker room with Roman, he kind of just like sat there all hesitant and quietly to Roman. He didn't get his own entrance again tonight. He was kind of relegated to taking out Tom Batanga and Tongaloa when they had their big duel. I felt like the guy who's equal to Roman should have probably been trying to handle Fatu. So I might be looking into it a little bit too much, but is that something or nothing there?
Yeah, I don't know. I can see why you picked up on it.
Yeah.
I get it. I think it is probably just nothing. At least for me, the way I took it was he's doing what is best for the entire group. I think it was important up to this point, at least, you have him doing what's best for the entire group. But at the same time, like, I mean, at the end of it, you have Roman thinking he can clear house all by himself, right? Obviously, everybody else is like taken out. So he's like, oh, we can do this all by myself. And then Roman's ego, I thought, kind of got in the way a little bit. He gets attacked there at the end, right? So it's like Jay's able to kind of put his ego in check. Roman, we still haven't seen that part yet. So I thought that's maybe the way they were playing it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I do think it's nothing. It's definitely just they want to make sure that the point gets across that Roman cannot do this by himself. He needs a Jey Uso by his side, a quote-unquote equal, in order to help take this Bloodline 2.0 down. We're going to get apologies from Roman at some point, and this is just another reason where Jay can eventually point to, like, whenever Roman tries to check him, Jay can be like, dude, you've been getting your ass whooped weekly by these guys. You ain't going to do nothing without me type deal. But it was just something interesting to point out. We would move on, though. Kevin Owens has a little video. He said that he showed up tonight to SmackDown, but he was turned away. He ain't welcome there.
The funniest part about this, it is bright as hell outside.
Yeah.
He is in his car. You could tell he
when did you show up to the ring? Noon?
Yeah. Like, oh, I just got off the phone with Nick Aldis. But that just happened. Yeah. It's dark outside. It is bright where you're at, Kevin.
He goes, all I did last week was I did what they told me to do. All I did was I did my job. Randy called me out to the wrestling ring. So I did that. I wrestled. That's basically what he said. But Nick called me to say that I am formally invited to SmackDown next week, all because the golden boy Cody Rhodes wants me there. And he yelled it. He was not very happy about the Cody Rhodes part. He goes, sure, you know what? I'll do it, but I'm not showing up for Cody. I'm not showing up for Nick. I'm not showing up for those fans. I'm showing up for myself. He goes, we're in Utah. I like Utah. The mountains are good for me. I was like, okay, fair point.
Sure, yeah.
You like the mountains.
Good for you, I guess, yeah.
But he goes, but just to warn everybody, when I show up, I'm just doing what you all wanted me to do. I'm just doing my job. This is good. Good short. Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'm popping it.
Yeah, it's just nice and short. Nothing too crazy here.
Yeah.
Makes you build the interest for next week. We obviously get Kevin back on the show. He says, I'm there to do what I'm going to do. And so that sounds like he's going to get the upper hand on Cody, which is what you need here.
Popping it?
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, there was nothing wrong. Yeah, nothing wrong with it.
Sure.
Yeah. I didn't hate it. You know?
We will get our tag team title match. We get Motor City Machine Guns taking on the Street Profits. You write that on a piece of paper. I'm going to watch it. Sabin and Montez would start, and they are just basically trying to get the best of each other the entire time, but they're both acrobatic as hell and doing the cool stuff where they just can't get the moves off because they're cool and acrobatic. But eventually Shelley would get a tag in, and him and Sabin would team up to do like this basement drop kick tag team move. Whenever they're doing their tag team stuff, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, one of the best, like, we talked before, like, maybe some people haven't seen them because they've been in TNA for, decades
Forever.
at this point. I'd put them up there in terms of in-ring skill with, like, the best tag teams of all time.
Oh, yeah, by far.
Their tag team moves are so seamless. They do that drop kick to the knee, and then he rolls over, and he bends him back in, like, this bridge, and they do the drop kick, and it's just so quick and seamless.
It's incredible.
Fantastic.
We would get a spot where Angelo Dawkins is on the outside with Shelley, and he runs over and does a shoulder tackle and just sends that man flying over the announce table. You're going to hurt Michael Cole. Oh, man. Watch out. But there was this dope part where Sabin would do a top rope Hurricane Rana to Jay, and he'd send Jay to the outside, but Shelley would come out and take Dawkins out with a running knee on the outside, and then Shelley would come and do a swanton off the apron to Montez Ford. Basically, whenever these guys are working together, it's just must-see TV. I love the Street Profits, but Motor City's on another level, man. Speaking of that, they would team up to do another move here where Shelley would go to the top rope, and he would do a top rope drop kick as Sabin would do a flatliner to Montez Ford at the exact same time.
Mm-hmm.
WWE 2K26 has their work cut out for what the hell they're going to do with Motor City Machine Gun. But
I don't know how you're going to get all those moves in there.
Eventually, Street Profits would look like an actual contender here, and they would come back. Montez would go to the top to probably do their finisher. But Tommaso Ciampa is there. He pushes Montez up the top rope. The ref sees it immediately, calls for the disqualification. He pushes Tez off. There's a DQ, obviously. They take out the Street Profits, or not they. Ciampa takes out the Street Profits by itself. He's sitting there and he's stomping a mud hole, and Montez Ford, who's clinging onto the bottom rope. But Motor City Machine Gun, I forget which one. I think it was Shelley, walks over to try to get in Ciampa's face. And Ciampa's about to handle business there as well until Johnny Gargano slides into the ring and breaks him up because Gargano's a big fan. He's got the foam finger and everything. It says Motor City Machine Guns. But Ciampa sees this and Gargano's like, no, let's not do this. Let's do this the right way. When that happens, Ciampa gives Gargano a big old shove, shoves him to the mat. He starts screaming at him. He goes, when did you become the leader? We didn't talk about that. I want them tag titles. And he's walking out of the ring. Gargano eventually walks out of the ring too. We would get a Dawkins shove on Sabin after the match to show that they still are pissed about that.
Yeah.
I don't like that finish at all, but I feel like the match was so good. I do like the Ciampa stuff overall. I just wish it didn't come with that finish to the match. I'll drop it. I'll give it a drop here because I really don't like the Street Profits. I think the Street Profits deserve a little bit better. Like that was if you're going to do the disqualification thing, like just Ciampa coming up there and shoving him off the top rope, like back into the ring. That's not a cool DQ. That just felt like it abruptly ended a match that was getting really good. So I'm dropping it.
Yeah. I'm going to pop it,
okay.
I guess for the bigger picture.
Yeah.
I agree with the
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with the DQ. It was kind of like, I looked at the time when this match came on because I knew we still had the main event and we had this, and I said, oh, something weird's going to happen. I don't know what, but something weird's going to happen. So you get Ciampa out there just blowing gaskets and flipping out on people. It's kind of like, we could have just, you could have not had a match, in my opinion. You could have just had maybe a backstage thing where like maybe they're leading to the match and maybe you get Ciampa freaking out there or something. I don't know. But ultimately, I think you're going to get the bigger picture and you're going to get DIY versus Street Profits versus Motor City Machine Guns and some sort of triple threat tag team. I mean, selfishly, triple threat tag team like TLC title match.
Oh, God, that'd be sick.
Sign me up.
Ladder match. Something.
You can use that WWE. It's free. It's free real estate. Just do something like that. Sign me up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. There's not much else to say. This is just an extension of last week. Ciampa's pissed. Street Profits still want their title shot that they just got screwed out of. So,
yeah,
triple threat is the natural next move of this.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you could do that. You could have Ciampa still freaking out, and you can have Street Profits win the belts there, and then Ciampa and Gargano can go off and do their own thing, and that's how you resolve that.
Works for me.
Yeah.
Book it. Not much else to say. We'll get a quick Naomi and Bayley backstage segment where Bayley's kind of warning Naomi about teaming with Io Sky. Bayley's like, been there, done that, man. She bites you in the back, and when that happens, Bianca and Jade walk up and they're like, Bayley, they basically tell Bayley, we got Naomi. Like stop talking to her. We got this. Walk away. Kind of cockishly. I don't know. They're being cocky about it.
Yeah. It was just, I don't know. It was at this point I realized, well, you just gave away the entire women's tournament, in my opinion.
Well, a little bit later. What happened a little bit later in the match?
Well, I thought that, to me, I mean, you have Naomi in the women's United States title match.
Yeah.
But you have her challenging for the title tonight. I said, well, she's not going to
That gave it away instantly.
She's not going to win. And then you have Bianca in the bottom left corner and Jade's in the top right. And before this, like you said, before this match, it's Bayley, Naomi, Jade, Bianca. There's 4 spots. There's 4 winners of these matches. They're all in their own separate region.
Oh, you think that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I might have a little bit different opinion on that.
Yeah, I just feel like that's probably like, is that what I want? No, but they continue to drive the force with like Jade and Bianca are like buddy with Naomi, but Naomi's friends with Bayley, but Bayley doesn't like them, and it's just like this storyline has been going on too long. They put too much emphasis on it for me to think it's just not going to end in some sort of fashion like that.
I'll save my comments for what happens a little bit later. We would lead to Naomi's main event match here. She has a title match against Nia Jax. Excuse me. Jesus.
This match was so good, he can't even speak.
Man, good Lord. But Nia's mad because basically Naomi, this is like the 3rd, 4th time Naomi's challenged her, and Nia wants to just get rid of this, squash this bug, basically. Mm-hmm. But she comes out absolutely tossing Naomi around. She does all her corner splashes, all her good stuff. She would go for her little elbow, but miss it, and Naomi would move that. She would reverse the elbow and turn it into a split leg drop that she does. We get a back and forth in the middle of the match until Nia starts dominating once again. Nia would do cool ass move. She'd send Naomi off the ropes and do a pop-up headbutt. She'd pop her up and headbutt her in the air. And Michael Cole and Corey Graves sold this like she pile drive like the Randy Orton pile driver, bro.
We talk about Nia Jax, like, I mean, admittedly, when she had returned, we were like, oh man, if this is the same old Nia that we get, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But Nia has elevated her game so much, not only like character wise, but her ability in the ring and moves that she's trying and just different things. You can see the progression of Nia Jax, and it's like, okay, this is the best Nia.
Yeah, but Naomi would get a little bit of a comeback here. She'd get like a double knee drop, like with Nia on the ropes. Nia would pop out of the ring, and Naomi would follow it up with a suicide dive, and she was sending Naomi's head off the barricade and everything. But Nia would then it was a back and forth match. Nia would get the advantage again. She put Naomi into a Boston Crab. Like, didn't know you had that in your bag, man. That's pretty nuts. She would go for a power bomb, but Naomi would roll her up into a pin, 1-2, ooh, and then we get a bunch of stuff. Naomi would hit the rear view, 1-2, ooh there. Nia is just taking all these moves. Mm-hmm. Nia would then give it a Samoan drop off. She'd go for the Annihilator, but Naomi would push her out of the ring. She'd push her outside and would do she'd climb up to the top rope, do a crossbody off the top rope to Nia on the outside. I was like, ooh, we getting a count out here. But When they're laying on the outside of the ring, that's when the other stuff happens. We randomly cut backstage to Bianca and Jade, who were watching through a TV, the match. Liv and Raquel are out there dominating them. They got jumped. They're throwing them into all the boxes in the backstage area. So stuff's going wild there. Tiffany would then come out. Tiffy time. She'd come out. When Nia got in the ring, the ref was kind of checking to make sure if she was okay. Tiffy beats up Naomi on the outside and throws her back into the ring for Nia to be able to get a leg drop off. And when she got the leg drop off, Nia would try to get the Annihilator, but Naomi would kick her, and they both go to the top rope, and Nia would try for a power bomb off the top rope, but it was reversed on the way down, and Nia almost landed right on her freaking neck.
Yeah, she almost did. It was close. Yeah. But I was also like, props to the innovation. I was like, props for even trying that. But yeah, like you said, it was really close. I was like, oh, okay.
So at this point, she's taking all the damage in the world. This is a good point for Tiffany to kind of screw up the match in a way, I guess. But 1, 2, there. Naomi would then go back to focusing on Tiff. She'd kind of yell at her. When Bayley would run out, Bayley would come out to help. And she's beating up Tiff on the outside. Naomi would go for a split leg moonsault from the top rope. Huge. This looked like a big finish. 1, 2, big ooh. I mean, big ooh.
The crowd was wanting this. That was the moment, I guess, in this match that I realized, like, this crowd really wants Naomi.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, like we said, like, I thought there was 0% chance she was winning this match. But they had the crowd on the edge of their seat, and the crowd was really behind her here.
She would go up to the top rope again when Candice LeRae runs out. And while Naomi's at the top rope, she sends Bayley into the post, which, shakes the post, and Naomi falls. And when Naomi falls, we would get a top rope Samoan drop from Nia Jax into an Annihilator. 1, 2, 3. Nia would win this match. A bunch happened here.
Yeah.
Oh, God. It's on my throat, man. But like you said, the crowd was completely into this match, and it got me into this match. I was happy as can be, popping it.
Yeah, I'm going to pop this as well. We talked a little bit about on Raw, they were trying to set up for War Games, right?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of stuff that happened on Raw, and we were like, I don't like the way they did this. There was too much, too quick. It didn't really make a whole lot of sense. It was hard to keep up with. Inversely, tonight they did the same thing on SmackDown, and I thought it worked perfectly.
Yeah.
I thought this was exactly how you book what they tried to do Monday night on Raw. They did it perfectly tonight. The match was great. The match was fantastic. Naomi obviously can't get the job done, but she is in that Women's United States Championship tournament. And for me, this was kind of the selling point of, I think that should be your first champ. Now, not going to spoil our video predictions or anything like that, but the crowd with how much they're getting behind her each and every single week and how loud that reaction is, it just seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, you're right. But I think the women's War Game match setup right now is Bianca, Jade, Naomi, Io, Kyrie. I don't think Bayley's going to be involved there with the way that Jade and Bianca spoke to Bayley. And because of that, I don't think any of these women win their U.S. title matches. I think that they are going to put the War Games match as the priority storytelling device for these women, and that's going to lead to, effery of whatever sort throughout their U.S. title matches, and they're going to get screwed over. Maybe Naomi gets the win on one because Naomi's great and the whole crowd's behind her. Obviously, Bianca and Jade are great too and all that stuff, but she seems to be the biggest single push right now, so she may win one or two. But I do think the War Game stuff gets in the way and screws them all out of U.S. title chances. I would
kind of hope that that's the case because I think this Jade, Bianca, Naomi, Bayley storyline it's been kind of weird because it's randomly sprinkled in here, it's randomly sprinkled in there, but we've never really, I guess, at least from what I can remember, I've never really gotten like a sole reason of why the Bayley doesn't like Bianca and vice versa.
Yeah.
I mean, they've hinted at stuff, but they've never fully outright kind of said that, I guess, because they think they have Naomi's best interest and she thinks she does. I guess that's why that's enough reason. I hope you are right in the sense of we don't get Bianca, Jade, Naomi, Bayley, because admittedly, there's other people I want to see win their matches. I just also wish that, like, if you're going to do a tournament for a championship, I would like the referee to stay out of it. But
I agree.
And I know you do too, but it's WWE. They're going to do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just think that like Bayley won, and I don't think she's going to be a part of this War Games team because if you have EO, you have to have Kyrie. And obviously Jade, Bianca, and Naomi are going to be a part of it, and we're going to have 5 there if you have Kyrie and EO. Bayley won, so she can move on in the U.S. tournament, but the rest of them, a part of the War Games match, get them out of there, focus on that story.
Yeah. The more you talk about it, the more it makes sense of what you're saying, because you have there's Chelsea Green in that one. There's Michin and Jade's bracket, and then you have Tiffany, Naomi, and I can't remember the other person on that side. So yeah, that you're probably right.
Well, SmackDown had about a minute left, and I was about to turn off the TV and tell Roman Reigns is on the screen. He's all beat. I mean, his hair is all wonky. He's all beat up. Roman Reigns Roman Reigns picks up his phone, and he says, Siri, call the wise man. And it starts to call in. This number is no longer in service. Number is no longer in service, and Roman just drops the phone. Wise man changed his number. Roman can't get a hold of him. We got drama between the wise man and the tribal chief. Woo! This is good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this was admittedly this was the first SmackDown you and I haven't watched together, and I don't know how long. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there watching it, and I was like, "Oh my god, you can't do this. Like, you can't leave me on this cliffhanger." You got Roman Reigns like losing his mind, and then it's like executive producers Paul Levesque, and and I'm like, "No, you can't do this." We talked a little bit about it off camera, at least that we know that Solo smashed Paul's phone originally back in, I think somebody had said April.
Yep.
We know that's the case. So Paul obviously had to get a new phone. Well, you can transfer that number to your new phone. You don't have to get a new number.
Here's the interesting part, though. When WrestleMania 40 was happening, Paul had 2 phones. He had one for the Tribal Chief and one for the Final Boss. That Tribal Chief phone's been crushed. Has he been using that Tribal Chief phone a little? That Final Boss phone? Has he been using that one? Are we going to get maybe a Paul Heyman turn on the OG Bloodline? That would be absolutely insane. I don't think that's happening. But this is definitely an interesting plot twist. That means Roman has really not been contacting Paul since WrestleMania 40. But you got to think that this is going to mean that eventually Paul Heyman is probably going to be the deciding factor of the 5th person, maybe. Maybe he shows up. Maybe he talks Seth into it.Maybe he has somebody else. But a lot of routes from this.
Yeah, there's a lot of routes from this. We talk all the time about the Bloodline continues to get more unexpected, more twists and turns. And you know, every time you ask them, we're in the 3rd inning, we're in the 4th inning, you're like, how many innings you guys got left? This is one right here that I never thought I would see this coming. Now, I don't think Paul has a role in deciding the 5th member, but I think it's more of past Survivor Series on. I think that's really where this comes into play. I think that more than anything, you have OG Bloodline and specifically Roman Reigns really lost throughout the night. They're like, we don't know what to do. Make the call. Earlier in the night, I'm like, oh, who are they going to call? Obviously, we thought Seth Rollins is going to be that 5th member. I'm like, oh, they're going to call Seth Rollins. And Roman's like, hey, Siri, call. And I'm like, oh, he's going to say Seth Rollins. And he says the wise man. And I'm like, oh. And I'm like, that's who because they need that help. They need that counsel. They need the wise man. What do we do, wise man? What do we do? For the wise man to have changed his number, for Roman to not be in contact with the wise man since Mania, I think is pretty telling. I feel like if they were as close as they say they were, Roman would have checked up on the wise man when the wise man got shield bombed through the table.
Yeah.
I feel like there should have been some sort of Roman reaching out at some point. So there's so many different layers to it. It's insanely intriguing. I mean, never thought that this could happen. And I mean, what do we do now? Where do we go?
No, that's a good point about Roman not contacting him after the shield bomb, because now it's like Roman has to apologize. He's had no apologies. So Roman has to apologize to Jay still. Roman has to apologize to Sammy still. Roman has to apologize to the wise man. If they're going to want Seth Rollins a part of this, he's going to have to apologize to Seth Rollins. So Roman's going to have to start biting his tongue here and biting his ego and making some apologies. So I cannot wait for this. But great episode of SmackDown.
Yeah.
13 pops, 1 drop for us. And that 1 drop was, you know, that was just me being picky. So But
fantastic
yeah.
stuff. And I mean, we talk about how do you build the anticipation and the excitement for the next week and the next week. And I mean, that shot right there at the end. I mean, that you could have had a 2-hour SmackDown. It could have been an hour and 59 minutes of junk, and then you could have had that at the end. I'm popping the whole episode.
Big cliffhanger. Big cliffhanger, guys. But anyway, to pop from us, follow us on all of our socials at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod. Listen to us wherever you get your podcasts at YouTube, Spotify, Apple, etc. If you want to come talk to us, comment, like, subscribe on all of our videos and all of our podcasts on all of our socials. And they're in our link tree. We got a Discord there as well if you want to come talk to us directly. We love talking to you guys during the shows. Till next time, though, I'm Will. That's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast, and we will see you next time.